Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Television Podcast with Jay and Chris. And we are your hosts tonight to talk about Warrior Season 1 finale. So this is episode 10.
We made it.
Yeah, we did make it.
All the way to the end.
It was a hell of a season.
It was.
Thanks for coming back every week, everyone. We really appreciate you coming back, finding out what we have to say, and leaving comments and subscribing.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Since this episode is 10, it's the finale, like you said, which means this show is going to be wrapping up, but we got more on the way.
We do.
So stay tuned, subscribe, and find out what's next.
Yeah, definitely.
You can find us at Southport Media and all the major socials. Check us out. We'll keep you posted with what's on the way.
All right. So it is the finale.
Yes, it is.
What are we drinking tonight? We have something special.
Yeah. We just cracked this open. It is the Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select. So this was made famous by Sinatra. It's a special blend that he preferred. It's 90 proof, so it's a little stronger. And it's got a couple different flavors than the original.
It's very smooth.
It is very smooth. It's a little, I wouldn't say a little, it's definitely a lot more pricey than the original Jack would be. But
yeah, we actually kind of found this one by accident. We were shopping for some other whiskeys, and Jay caught this one over on the other side of the store, ran over and found it, and it's got a super cool bottle. So we have a whole wall of other Jack Daniel's bottles here.
Yep.
But this one is totally different, and it's so weighted at the bottom. It'd be really good if you get in a bar fight to clock somebody with it.
Yeah. Yep. Don't want to be on the receiving end of that guy.
It's smooth if you like Jack Daniel's. I think you'll like the Sinatra Select version. Just make sure to bring your wallet.
Yes. Definitely do that.
All right. So episode 10.
It is called If You're Going to Bow, Bow Low.
That's correct.
And Chow, I believe, is the one that says that line in the show.
Yeah, it was a saying from his father.
Yep.
So since this is the season finale, we're going to kind of break down this episode, and at the end, we're going to talk about the season as a whole and how far we've gotten, where we're going to go next, and what we thought about it.
Yeah, what our thoughts were, what we got right, what we got wrong, some of our expectations of what was going to happen in season 1. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, stick around.
That'll be after episode 10 breakdown.
All right, so episode 10. What did you think?
It's a season finale, and most season finales, they're kind of scattered, I would say. There's so many different subplots and storylines that they're needing to bring not necessarily closure to, but at least some sort of, a pause or a waiting, you got to wrap it up somehow. So yeah, this episode wasn't any different. It had a lot of different snippets of different characters. So it was a little scattered for my taste.
Yeah, we jumped around quite a bit, and it was hard to kind of keep track of everybody and everything going on. And I agree with you, what you said. They didn't wrap everything up, but we did touch on almost all the plots.
Yep. Didn't see the mayor.
No, he was gone.
Wasn't not in this episode.
I guess we were wrong about that one.
We were wrong about that.
We thought he was going to die this season, but
he didn't. Wasn't in the last episode. We can say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess instead of doing our normal kind of chronological breakdown of the episode, we can just kind of wrap it up per character and storyline, maybe as far as how season 1 ends for that character.
All right, so I think my favorite character this episode was Mr. 5 O'Clock, the alarm guy. And there's no way he would last in my household. I would throw shoes at him or something for waking me up.
Yeah, it reminds me of, it's a very subtle, kind of way to wake it up. But yeah, like you said, he wouldn't last. Day 2, he'd be out the door.
Yep, but he had an important job. There was a whole bunch of laborers. Everybody's got to get to work on time. It looks like they're basically pulling 12-hour shifts because as soon as one person gets back, the other person wakes up and they're just swapping the bunk.
Yeah, the bed never gets cold. It goes from one person to the next. So yeah, I guess let's talk about Sahm a little bit, since it kind of opens up on, he gets to take a taste of what the real working class, indentured lifestyle is. It looks like there's been a week passed since the fight. He's not fully healed. He's still got, cuts on his face, and he's not walking right. He's got a hitch in his step. But yeah, since the Hopway have basically gotten rid of him, kicked him out. He's got to work somehow, and he's found himself, hauling coal basically, or working on the railroad for Mercer.
Yep. Yeah, there seems to be all sorts of work going on from these guys. Some people were digging. I saw some people doing some siding work, but it would look like a hard life. And he almost was kind of punishing himself because he runs into Chow later, and Chow says, "Oh, this isn't the life for you. We can get you a better job. We can get you, back into the Hop Way. You could do other stuff with your talents." And he says, "No. This is what I'm doing now."
It does. He's got a purpose. He's seen what the other side could be when not being in a tong, not having that lifestyle. But yeah, he actually gets offered jobs from a couple different people. Chow offers him a position. He sees Penny at her dad's factory when he moves there. She offers him a better position.
A pretty lucrative position, being a translator. He'd be completely indispensable at that point, I think, in that job.
But I think at that point, he's trying to prove to them that, hey, no, I don't need handouts. I can do this, I don't want to do this, but I can if I have to. Mm-hmm. So... And
he gets another job from Young Jun, who comes and tracks him down.
Yeah, wants him to come back.
Yeah, and he...
Come back to the Hop Way.
Yep. So Young Jun looks like he's never really been to that side of town before. He said, you're a hard man to find, and it doesn't look like he's been in that area before.
Well, he's grown up in a tong. He hasn't had to really work at all in his life. His dad's the boss of the Hop Way. So, yeah, that's been his life.
Yeah, he learned to fight, got some cutlery skills, and
oh yeah,
that's it.
Mr. Stabby. He's good with the blades for sure. So yeah, he can see what Assam's going through, being one of the coolies, as they said. And yeah, he doesn't want that for him. He never really wanted him to leave. His dad kind of forced him to push him out. But Assam's, I think, a little pissed, honestly, for being kicked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, I lost, but still, you didn't have to, disbar me from the band, basically.
Yeah, it feels like he got kicked out of the family.
Yeah. So I think he's just being a little stubborn, trying to prove to everybody that I don't need you as much as you might need me.
And he says Father June hasn't been the same since the explosion, but Young June says he wants Assam back. Does Father June want him back? We don't really know. We haven't, seen his opinion on this.
I don't think so.
I don't think he does either.
We can, in the scene where Father June and Mai Ling, they've got a fancy map, with all sorts of new boundaries drawn out for the opium trade. He made it pretty clear that he's going to honor the agreement that they lost, so the Longzi can now trade opium on their turf, and he's not happy about it though. He's gonna honor the agreement, but he slams his stamp down on the map and basically storms out.
Yeah,
he's like, if you make one footstep off your turf, we're gonna call you out on it.
Yeah, and Mai Ling said, the agreement was we got turf beyond what we currently control, and he said, no, that's not how I understand it. So they kind of came to a truce or understanding there where they get the opium selling ability, but just in a smaller area.
It's baby steps.
Hey, I was really impressed with that cartographer, or whoever the guy was that made that map for them. That he didn't get taken out in the Tong Wars, and he was still around.
Yeah, he wasn't on the streets. He was in his little office. He was drawing that out.
Hey, you know what? Maybe he's the same guy that made the map for the police a couple episodes ago too.
Yeah,
freelancer.
When you got talents, you got to show it off.
Yeah. So Assam, we saw him get a couple job offers, and what kind of turns him around is he sees some other Chinese getting picked on and beat up and their hands smashed in with these mini sledgehammers. Then he fights back and kind of, reignites that fire in him.
The Irish came a knocking on Mercer's factory, kind of a little retribution for, the Chinese taking their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, they start breaking some hands with the hammers, and Assam, seeing one guy about to get his hand smashed, stops him mid-swing, and then the fight's on. That's definitely one of the bigger fights of the season.
Yeah, it was huge.
Happens at this. I don't even know exactly how many guys he took on, but it was a lot. I would say at least a dozen to 2 dozen maybe. There was a lot of guys.
Yeah, definitely. And Leary, was kind of watching from up top, and he looked pretty impressed. I mean, he knows when somebody could fight, that there's not too many people out there like that.
He didn't jump in right away. He
No.
waited.
Yeah, he's just keeping his eye on things.
He waited. We all know Leary likes to fight as well.
Mm-hmm.
But he let Sahm kind of tire himself out, I think, on all the other peons, and once he finished them off, he jumped in and gave him a nice little Superman punch right in the chest.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And started off their little brawl, which got broken up. The cops raided the place. So round 2, I'm sure, will be coming at some point.
And he said he recognized him from somewhere, and I don't remember the two of them crossing paths. So we'll have to go back, rewatch the season and find out where that was.
So I think the only time that he might have seen Sahm is when Sahm was kind of fighting for Penny's safety in the square.
Out in the street?
And a couple Irishmen that weren't working at the time, were picking a fight on him.
Oh, you know what?
And then they went on trial.
Yeah, it may not have been in the street, but when they went on trial, that could have been where it happened.
Yeah, so I think he's seen him. He probably knows who he is, but yeah, they definitely haven't met until that scene.
Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So another big thing that happens in that scene is Penny's dad, he scrambles to go get a gun because he's, all of his guys are being attacked, and he ends up having a heart attack, I guess, and just falls out on the floor.
Yeah, that was shocking. Maybe that wouldn't happen if he had his gun loaded and ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Why would it be unloaded just sitting in the drawer there? It's craziness.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been so frantically trying to load the thing. But yeah, which means who's going to run the company? Obviously, the next best thing would be Penny.
I think so.
She seemed to have an interest. She was kind of giving her dad some pointers, ways he can cut costs.
Yeah, she had already approached Buckley earlier in this episode too, trying to get things worked out. So I think she's making some pretty big power plays.
She is the mayor's wife. She's in that position, so she's got a very minor pull, and I think she's going to try and leverage that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if that doesn't work, she's going to try and make her own name and take over the family business. So
yeah, now she has this big contract to fulfill. I mean, that's a lot of work, and especially with this pricing dispute, what is she going to do about that?
Yeah,
is she going to push back on Buckley or her husband for more money?
I think that's going to be a big thing in season 2. On the political side, and see where she kind of falls in that role now. But yeah, somebody's got to keep the business going. Mm-hmm. It's got to be her.
Yeah. So Big Bill had a pretty big episode. We see him quite a few times hanging out at the hospital, kind of keeping a watch on Lee. Yeah, he said he wants to be there either when he passes or when he wakes up. He wants to be there to support him.
Yeah, because he knows why he got put there.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't told anybody, but the little marker that was left on Lee's chest, he knows that Zing had put it there basically as a calling card saying, I didn't get to you, but I got to your friend. So, come find me, and you got to pay your debts.
And find him he does.
He does.
Bill goes over to the Fung Hai, goes in, and he actually pulls out his gun and starts shooting people and kicking some ass a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Until he pulls it on Zing, and then he turns it turns it around on him real quick.
Zing takes out his own guy,
Yeah, Bill used him as a little shield, and Zing's like, I don't care about him. He just popped him and dropped, and Bill's just kind of like, uh-oh. What do I do now?
Bill finds out that he doesn't want his money back, which means, he kind of wants him under his thumb, in his control. So Bill's working for a lot of people now. He's working for the Fung Hai. He's working for the Irish. He's working for the police. He's got so many things mixed up that, he's not working for himself at all.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think he wants to work for any of those people. But he's put himself in a real bad spot.
Yes, he has.
He's got a big hole to climb out of. I think that's going to be another thing in season 2 that they're going to expand upon. But he's already proved that he's willing to do basically anything to keep himself alive and protect his family.
Yeah, I mean, he's really just kind of treading water. He's not really working his way out of debt with any of these people. He just keeps going further in.
We kind of find at the end of the season that he's actually reverting to a different method, which he's shaking down other people to get money.
Yep.
Kind of the role of Damon that it had. He's doing the same thing.
Telling him you don't want to join the White Mountain.
Pay up.
Yeah, pay up.
It's the only way to stay alive.
Bill visits a new guy that we see. His name's Jonas, to get some of his money to bring back, and we don't really know Jonas's role yet. So maybe he was just shown so we kind of see Bill's new role, but maybe he's gonna have a big part next season.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But either way, he got some cash from him, which is what he needed. So Bill's definitely changed throughout the season.
Yeah, he's had a big change from the beginning till now.
So we'll see if he can stay afloat and keep himself and his buddy Lee alive. I just think, Bill and Lee have definitely grown throughout the season as well. When they started, they were totally opposite ends of the spectrum as far as cops go.
Mm-hmm.
But now that they've, worked together, they got each other's back.
And, at the beginning of the season, they didn't want anything to do with Chinatown, and now it seems like they're pretty comfortable there. They know their role. They know who to go to, go to Chow if they're looking for, some insider information.
Right.
But yeah, they kind of have their role, and I think they're comfortable with it for right now.
Well, we'll see how much longer they can survive in the streets.
Yeah, speaking of Leary, we saw at the bar at one point this season, or this episode, that a couple black guys come in looking for a drink, and there's some other Irishman there that, wants nothing to do with them, tells them to leave. And Leary comes down and says, No. These guys were slaves. They were brought here on their own. They didn't want to be here.
They've earned that.
Yeah, they're welcome, to come in here and drink this one drink. But then he, quickly tells them after that, you guys need to leave. But
yeah, you should know better coming into an Irish bar.
Right.
But still, I respect you for everything you've gone through to get to this place. Have your drink, but then you got to leave.
Yeah. Leary definitely seems to have his very own set of morals, and he believes in them, fully. But, he's definitely willing to break the law. But, there's certain things that I think he really believes in, and it seems like he respects other people for what they've had to go through, and we kind of saw that with Sahm and these two guys in the bar, that he can kind of respect them even though either he doesn't like them or doesn't want them around.
He, like you said, he's got his moral code, and that doesn't necessarily line up with the law.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So he's a working man's leader, basically. He's kind of like the start of the Union Party, if you will. He's all about getting his guys hired and keeping them working, and he'll break the law and fight whoever he's got to do to get that job done. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's depending on what side you're on, you either love him or you hate him.
All right, let's talk about your buddy Buckley.
Yeah, he had a few meetings they kind of sprinkled throughout the episode. Setting up, I think, a lot that's going to happen next season.
Mm-hmm.
He met with Penny, he met with Mai Ling, and Leary as well.
Mm-hmm.
Each of them was not necessarily a very friendly meeting. I don't think he's on the good side of anybody at this point.
No.
So I don't even think with the mayor, honestly. He's kind of doing his own thing, it seems like. So he's a strong character, but kind of on his own front.
Yeah, he definitely is working, like a 4D chess level, a really macro level, trying to set up for the future, and everyone else is just trying to survive or get through the day or the week.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, like you said, 10 steps ahead, making these moves now, just anticipating, setting it up
mm-hmm.
for a win. So we'll see. I think he's one of the most interesting characters, just because there's so much mystery with kind of his motives and what's he going to do next.
Yeah, so Penny visits him to say, hey, stop squeezing my dad, right? He's already, been really tight on his money, and you're squeezing him, and, he can't pay the people he promised to pay on that level of, on that contract payment. And he said, hey, I don't want to get involved with, your father's payroll issues. And she says, "Look,
You're
doing this on purpose.
You're causing the payroll issues.
Yeah.
If you would have just given him the contract and left him alone, it wouldn't be an issue.
Yep.
This is your doing, nobody's else."
And when he leaves, Leary shows up, and Leary knows, where this pressure is coming from as well. And he basically puts a knife to him and threatens him that, hey, my guys need to work. He's really determined. He's got that one focus, and he's trying to make it happen any way that he can.
And Buckley, he's got his hands kind of in everything. So, yeah, having a bunch of people come up to him, being upset, how's he gonna find a way around that? Is he gonna let up, or is he gonna keep doing the pressure and maybe come out on top? So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
See what he kind of works out next season.
We said Mai Ling meets with Buckley. She also meets with Zing from the Fung Hai, and trying to find out why he killed a cop, which is bringing heat to her organization. And he basically says, "I don't work for you," even though we made some sort of a deal. And he brings her outside, and he's got his whole crew out there as like a big show off of power that, we're not going to take whatever BS you're trying to give us.
They're all lined up, ready to go.
Yeah,
that was definitely a power move. I'm gonna. You don't got anybody here, besides Lee Young. You got your right hand man.
Yep, that's it.
And I got my whole tong outside. You gonna give me some more crap, or are you gonna let me go?
And all them lined up like that really looked like a old school kind of kung fu movie. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, and they have that old world look to them. The traditional threads and definitely not modern looking like the Hop way. Mm-hmm. That's definitely a pretty cool tone, or character difference between the different tongs. It's just how they dress. It's so drastically different.
Absolutely. So, Atoy, we only saw her a couple times this episode. One was she saw her girl practicing with the sword, and she was kind of teaching her some new moves. And then after that, we saw Sahm show up at Atoy's to say thank you for, nursing me back to health. And by the way, I brought you a present, and takes her down to the basement, and we got a couple of those Irishmen from Leary, and kind of told her what they were doing, and they were going to take those guys and deal with them.
Yeah, she basically goes and gets hammer that she has on hand, and she doesn't do it herself, it seems like, but she's got her guy do it, and you can just hear in the background the guy screaming, so you can tell she's wailing on him the same way that they were wailing on the other Chinese. So it seems like she almost enjoys a little bit of retribution and punishment to the Irishmen that pick on the different Chinese.
Yeah, and Assam says, "Hey, I'm ready to join you to make a difference, even though it may not make a difference overall, but we need to fight back against oppression and the man." And it seems like the two of them are going to team up next year. So maybe maybe he'll get a sword too.
I think so.
Could be three of them then.
Three long swords in the mist.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that encounter, he says he's kind of ready to come back, and then he's just dressed with the Hop way again.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't really. It was kind of a quick cut, to him being back in the group, and we know that Young Jun had visited him earlier and invited him to come back, but I just thought it was a little off seeing him just back with the crew right away.
Yeah, and kind of leading them walking down the street, which was a great shot. That's what we've seen in all the
that was
promo.
One of the main promo shots that they had on the posters. But yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the way that went down. Just him kind of jumping right back in after he had said no earlier. And
maybe they'll address it for the next season early on. But yeah, I agree. I thought that was a little rushed. But that's pretty much it. That's how it ended.
That was the finale. Well, I guess that brings us to our thoughts on season 1 as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Where we originally thought it was going to go, all the twists and turns that wound up, surprising us, and maybe what season 2 we think is going to hold.
Yeah, before we get into specifics, I guess, let's talk about what we thought about the show. So, being based on Bruce Lee and being called Warrior, I thought it was going to have more action, maybe a little less drama, similar to Strike Back, but not with a shoot 'em up, military group, more hand to hand combat. But it didn't. It was a lot more drama, politics mixed in, and a lot of stuff like that. But the fights that were there, I think, were very meaningful, and a lot of them were throwbacks to prior martial arts movies or artwork that we've seen in the past.
They had talked about it a lot as far as how they wanted to handle those throwbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Jonathan Tropper saying, he wanted to, reference, Bruce Lee and Bolo, but not copy them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely give them their own unique twist on the show, but, still paying tribute to, the movies of past and the actors of the past. So I think they did a good job with that. You could tell specific things here and there that they sprinkled in on purpose to, to pay respect and tribute to the past actors and Bruce Lee. So that was very well done. And the fight scenes themselves, I thought, were well done, even though they were sporadic. There was some extended ones, but yeah, it's on Cinemax. It's got to have a fair amount of drama and appeal to the masses, I guess. I wonder if going into that he had planned for that, or if he kind of had to adapt along the way, to fill the different hours, with various content. So either way, I think overall it was a good show.
I think it was extremely successful in what it sought out to do, and it really bring in a lot of Asian actors to the small screen in America, and not all of them have worked here. So I thought that was extremely successful, and everything it accomplished.
Yeah, all the interviews we saw, the actors were just stoked about it. Having the cast be as large as it was with all the Asian actors, and how focused it was on them and their heritage and the writings from Bruce Lee. So yeah, they all were really happy when this show was getting cast, and they found out it was real.
Yep. All right, so let's break down some individual stuff. Favorite fight. What was your favorite fight of the season?
Mine would have to be the big Bolo and Sahm fight.
Great fight. Episode 7, right?
Yes, that was episode 7. Not only was it was a long fight, it was close quarters, longer shots. You could tell they really went all out. There was some brutal combinations that they must have practiced, hours for. But I think that was probably my favorite. Just showing the different impacts, back and forth, and going through the house, through the little hallways. That was my favorite fight.
Yeah, I think the environment they were in, the tight hallways and moving to different rooms and doorways and stuff, it really helped elevate that fight. And also the two different fighting styles of the fighters. You could see they were attacking with different methods, and they were kind of even with each other, until Bolo got stabbed in the back. R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P. Bolo.
So my favorite fight would probably be the end of episode 5 against the Cowboys. And that's in the saloon, and we have Sahm, we have Young Jun, and we have a couple other people from the saloon there fighting back against these Cowboys. And there was a lot of really cool shit in that fight, so I think that one was my favorite.
Yeah, the finishing move on the main cowboy was definitely epic.
Oh yeah, that was great.
The whole throat, grab, pull it out.
Which was a nice throwback to the Nola fight in Banshee.
Definitely. Yeah, which Jonathan Tropper wrote as well. So.
Yep. Favorite episode overall. What was yours?
Besides 5?
Well, it could be 5, but also besides 5.
Yeah, since 5 was kind of a standalone. My favorite episode of the season, I would have to say, is probably 6. I really liked the whole Chinese New Year sequence. It was so much brighter than a lot of the other shots that they had. It was
so great.
It was a huge celebration. We had a lot of action. So I think overall that was probably one of my favorite episodes. It kind of led up to, the whole Tong War, really igniting as well. We had the big explosion after this, the New Year celebration. So Yeah, that was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a great one. My favorite was episode 5, but since it was kind of its own little bottle episode, I don't want to talk about that one. So I think I have a tie. Episode 3, John Chinaman, where he's in court. We learn a lot about Assam. There's a lot of growth in that episode. And episode 1, the pilot. A lot of shows, the pilot really feels different than the show, but this one I think did a lot of world building and really brought us in on all the different people in this environment and the whole setup for the season, and it kind of made you feel right at home with it right away.
Yeah, like you said, they didn't. The pilot wasn't dramatically different.
No,
it really flowed. 1 through 10, it really had a cohesive feeling. Other than 5, that being a unique episode. But episode 1 was a good pilot.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that was a good reason that the show was picked up.
All right, so what did they do right this season? So I got a couple things. I think one, the theme song. Not every show does, like a opening sequence with a song or anything anymore, but every time I see it, every week, it just gets me pumped, and I'm just in the zone as soon as it comes on.
Yeah, it's a good theme song. I would say what they get right. My favorite thing that we had talked about, earlier on, was the transition from English to Chinese and Chinese to English.
Mm-hmm.
The whole shot, the 360 going around him, where you could tell if he's talking to fellow Chinese, you pick it up as English, but if there's somebody that only speaks English in the area, then they hear it as Chinese. I thought that was a really unique and kind of genius way to represent the different viewpoints and what language is actually being spoken.
Yeah, if they didn't do that so well, I mean, we would have been reading subtitles this whole season.
It would have been like 90% subtitles.
Or they'd really kind of be spitting in, all the Chinese face that, oh, we're just going to have you speak English. And, well, this time we did hear them speak English, but we understand that they're speaking, Chinese to themselves. So
that was a brilliant way to save face and to make that whole transition worthwhile. So that's one of my favorite things they did.
Also, the music in the whole season. We've talked about it almost every episode, that just all the cool funk and, country and all the music that gets put in the place you don't expect it. And it really just kind of just made it feel special.
It was, yeah. It wasn't the standard fight music. Like, you could hear it building and you're like, okay, fight's about to happen. It was pretty genuine, and it felt like somebody thought about it. Okay, this fight feels this way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be funk music. Or in episode 5, when your favorite fight's going down, they've got heavy metal.
Yeah, it's like hardcore metal going on.
So I agree with you. That was really cool, the way they did that. I think in episode 10, we actually had a little different music going as well, more in the funk style. So yeah, whoever was picking the fight music, they did a really good job.
Definitely. And the last thing, as far as what they did right, probably the most important, is they just showed a lot of respect to all these Asian characters and not making them caricatures of, a Chinese man that can't speak English, or, different things that we've seen in shows over the last few decades. They just made them all great characters, and the actors fucking killed it.
Yeah, they picked great actors to play these roles. The roles were very well written, and, knowing that this came from Bruce Lee, 40-something years ago, and to adapt it to be relevant today, to kind of focus on not only the topics that Bruce wanted to talk about back then, but also make it relevant to today's topics, as far as, inclusion of, the Chinese and kind of what they went through back then, and to try and make it as historically accurate as possible. So yeah, they did a good job, tying all those different ends together.
Yeah, 100%. So what did they do wrong? Really, the one thing I didn't like is the lighting in some of the episodes. There's a lot of other shows that have done night sequences that you can see. And this one, you have to cut every light in the house. You really have to, squint and look. And even then, it's still pretty dark on some scenes.
It was. That's why one of my favorite episodes was the Chinese New Year one.
You could see
because
what
it was
the hell
so
they're
bright.
doing.
It was different than a lot of the other shots. But yeah, I agree with you. And I think they've done that just to make it seem like you're actually in that dark room, to make it seem more authentic, which it definitely feels that way.
It does.
It's just hard to see.
Yeah, 100%. Best whiskey of the season.
Best whiskey of the season. I think that's probably a unanimous vote for us. A couple weeks ago, we did the Four Roses single barrel.
Yes.
We both really enjoyed that, whether it's drinking it neat or with a mixer. That's a very good whiskey. And highly recommend it to any of you guys out there.
Don't just take our word for it. We've gone online afterwards, and apparently everybody else loves it too. So it's cheap. I will recommend that over anything else right now until we find something else better.
Yeah, I agree. And we will keep finding more whiskeys to review.
We will.
To see if there's something else that can top that. But yeah, of this season, the 10 we went through, that's number one in my book.
Definitely. All right, who was your favorite character of the season? Or characters?
Favorite character. I really liked a couple different people. I liked Penny. I felt like she was not just the, pushover, you can kind of roll anything past me type person. She stood up for her beliefs, especially to her husband. She made it pretty well known, her political beliefs, and when they were having the party at their house, she made it a point to stand up and, pretty much go against him in front of all of his friends. In front of
everybody, absolutely.
And she didn't feel bad about it. So I liked her. I liked how strong-willed she was. And it seems like now that her father's gone, she's going to have a bigger role as well. And then I kind of like Leary.
Yeah.
I like we talked about, I like his morals. He's got his guys, and he'll do anything for his guys. Mm-hmm. Just that working class, blue collar type feel, just to get his guys, a job, and so they can provide for their family. Unfortunately, he's pretty brutal about his tactics, and he'll kill other people to get that done. But still, I like the morals that he's kind of instilled on himself. So yeah, it definitely, the main characters are great. Their storylines are great, but these kind of supporting characters, I like those guys.
Yeah, we both kind of agree with that. That Assam, Andrew Koji is great playing Assam, and Assam as a character is growing, but I don't think he is the biggest character in the show, really. We kind of use him as a vessel to see all these other points of the city. I would say my favorite was probably Young Jun, just because he stood out so, different than everybody else. And he really had just a charisma and an energy, and he was just always excited to see people. And, I just really liked him a lot.
Yeah. Even in that promo shot on the poster, he's the only one smiling.
He's the only one smiling. Everybody's got, their mean, stern face, with their hatchets. And he's like, yeah, motherfucker, I'll stab you.
Yeah, he's definitely one of my favorites as well. Because, yeah, his presence and his charisma, like you said, is pretty epic. That and his fighting, just running in there, stabbing, as like a sewing machine almost.
Yep.
He's, I want to see more of him in season 2.
And my number 2 would probably be Atoy, actually. She has some super cool makeup and dresses and stuff through the episode, but what I really like about her is just her attitude. She's an entrepreneur. She's always trying to, find new niches where she can, kind of go places where a Chinese woman shouldn't be and excel at those. And I'm excited to see, what she does next season. And maybe by then we'll actually come up with a name for her vigilante, sword-wielding self.
Definitely. And her brothel, which apparently is still unnamed.
It's just Atoy's, yeah.
So we'll have to come up with something that might stick there.
Yeah, and maybe we'll tweet it at her and see if she'll get that included in the next season,
Yep. Doesn't hurt to add to the backstory.
Yep. Favorite character arc of the season? Who do you think maybe had the biggest change, or that was the funnest to watch?
Well, I'd say the biggest change was probably Bill. He started off as just a kind of degenerate gambler and didn't have any camaraderie, it seemed like, with any of his fellow police officers. Mm-hmm. And then he got partnered with Lee, which was pretty much against his wishes. He didn't, he got stuck in Chinatown. He got a little task force, and Lee was one of those guys. So throughout the course of the season, he kind of went to lean on him as he depended on him. He made him kind of sit outside of his house while he was out being a degenerate gambler, racking up more debt. And Lee, did that. And
without even asking.
Without even asking.
Yeah.
So as it kind of goes throughout, he's broken down, he's cried, he's killed people, and I think he's definitely went from not caring about anybody besides himself to definitely having a brother he can call in Lee, and I think it's going to take him some time, but he needs to dig himself out of the hole he's put himself in.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. He was also my favorite arc of the season. Like you said, he starts off, he's just a typical grumpy cop. He doesn't like anyone. And he keeps just making all these bad decisions, and you kind of really start to loathe his character. But then he breaks down, he starts getting backed into corners, and you really start to feel for him. And I think Kieran just did a great job, with his character on the show. And I really am kind of pulling for him to succeed now. And I know he's got a long road ahead to get out of his hole.
He does. Yeah, he dug himself a really deep hole. And he's going to take some time to climb out of it.
Yeah. All right. So, last thing on my list is, what do we want to see out of season 2?
I want to see the mayor get killed.
I know. How did that not happen this season? What the fuck?
I really thought that was going to happen. It seems like his character is really just kind of getting phased out. Buckley seems to be taking the role of the mayor, doing all these backhanded deals with the mayor not around. And it seems like he's just kind of a pawn for, the higher political people that come to visit that have higher aspirations, and Buckley seems to be part of that. So I think the mayor's eventually going to get phased out. Whether he dies or not, I'm not sure, but I think his character is going to be pushed on the wayside. And then I would also like to see the Hopway just fighting.
Yeah.
I want to see, we got the three tongs that are all going at it, fighting over the turf. But yeah, I want to see some more young June just slashing it up.
Yeah.
And having a good time doing it.
I agree. We want to see the Hot Boys, the Hopway, kind of get their stride back. And, they've been taken down a couple notches this season.
Yep.
And the Long Z, they still don't really have manpower. And they're depending on, the Fung Hai. I really think that, the Hopway need to come up with a plan to take back over everything. And they said they're going to put pressure to Mai Ling. They said they're going to allow her to sell there, but they're going to make it really hard or expensive for her. So I'm excited to see what they do next season. Maybe they'll be, lighting some more molasses on fire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an all-out war between the three of them, since the three seem to be having their own interests now. It's no longer like 2 against 1.
Yes,
it's 3 to fight, decisive minds all fighting. So I also kind of want to see, young June potentially take the leadership role.
Absolutely.
If Father June doesn't make it for whatever reason. And then Atoy, I think her little side mission with Lei or Lai, still don't know the pronunciation of that. But her protege, if you will, kind of see what they come up with and what they're going to be fighting for. So yeah, I like to see more of it all. See what the writers come up with.
Yeah, I want to see all of that. I'd also like to see Sahm kind of find his purpose a little bit more. And I'd also like to see the Hopway kind of get a Bolo replacement because they're down on manpower. They need to do some recruiting, and they're going to have to find another yellow demon somewhere. It's going to be tough to replace Bolo.
It will be. We've seen all the issues the Long Z have had recruiting.
Oh yeah, a bunch of chumps.
Li Yong just goes right through those guys like it's butter. So I don't know what the obviously more keep coming over on the boat every day. We'll see what the salt washes up.
Yeah, well, in the Tong Wars, we are Hopway all the way.
Yes, we are.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens next season.
Got to wait pretty much a whole year till 2020.
Oh, God, it's going to be a long wait.
But in the meantime, we have plenty of other shows we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, so if you guys want to see what we got coming up next, we have several new shows on the schedule that will be coming out soon. Some we're going to do week-to-week episodes like this, and some are going to be season-long recaps, and some are just going to be kind of bunched together episodes, like maybe half a season at a time. And there's going to be a big variety coming up, so definitely stay tuned.
And let us know what you guys want to see, too. We love the feedback. So if you guys have a recommendation, put it in the comment or message us. Once again, we're at Southport Media. So whatever your favorite social media platform is, we're on it, and hit us up.
Yeah, definitely.
And let us know. Maybe we'll put out a couple teasers in the future of what to expect.
And don't forget to subscribe. That's the best way to find out what we have coming out next, because we will just pop right in your feed every week.
Yep.
So
I think that's it for Warrior. Yeah. I think that's a wrap on season 1. So,
and we just had Chernobyl wrap up too. So it's kind of a bookmark to the end of all these shows that we started with at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes. So we appreciate you guys that have stuck around through our initial run of shows. Mm-hmm. And like we said, we got more to come. So hopefully you guys will come back and keep listening.
Yeah, and until then, if you get some extra money burning a hole in your pocket, try the Jack Daniel's Sinatra Select.
Also, if you have recommendations for what we should be drinking on the show, please let us know that as well. So we're always open to try some stuff.
I have a few bottles that we haven't opened yet that we're going to try, and I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. It is tequila. I'm not a tequila guy. I'm kind of nervous.
Well, we'll give it a shot.
Definitely.
And we'll let you know what we think about it. So
yeah, until next time, cheers, guys.
Yep, cheers. Thanks for watching.